Good evening. Actually, remember to let my phone rotate this time. So, I the title of last night's or yesterday's or the previous, however you want to word it, entry is literally a reference to the fact that once I can vaguely see, well, not even vaguely, I can fairly well see this screen, like what's on my screen right now. Like, I don't know if you can see my hand, but I can. I can see that I'm pointing at my light. You can probably see the reflection of my ring at least. But when I drop it in my my editing program, make it sound like I actually got one. No, when I drop it in the built-in editor in the phone, it's just black. So I literally have no idea the orientation of last night's video, because as I've talked about before, these are taken with a front camera, the front facing camera, so I can see the screen. And so I flip them so they appear correctly. Like if I didn't, words would be mirrored. It's like looking in a mirror when you take front facing video. So I flip it. But with having to rotate it last night, see, basically what I normally do is, since I'm just flipping it, I do that first. And I can tell if it's flipped or not, even if it's black, because when I flip it, the save button, which is grayed out, lights up. And even if I just hit flip again, it goes back to grayed out. So I can tell that. But last night, after rotating it, I couldn't tell if I'd rotated it the right way. I don't know which way it was rotating. It didn't have rotate left, rotate right. It just had rotate. So, didn't know if up was already up. Don't know if it was flipped. So, as far as I know, you have an upside down mirror. And I just don't care. I just don't care. So yeah, well, there's that. So most of the day was more Dragon Age 2. I'm enjoying it greatly still. Also, I've been letting Mass Effect 3 install on my computer. Can't remember why I own it there. I might have bought it on sale just to play multiplayer with Martin at some point. But anyway, that's what I did today. I downloaded it and booted up multiplayer for a while. And was like, man, I can get lost in this again so easily. But I don't, I'm just not good at mouse and keyboard. I don't have a desk set up. I've not taken the time to really learn. It's just, it's as confusing as, for someone who's only ever played on mouse and keyboard their entire life. You hand them this controller and they're like, what do you mean I've only got 3 buttons to work with? But you hand me this keyboard and I'm like, what button? Suddenly I'm moving with the index part of my hand instead of my thumb. It's not analog anymore. Sorry, I got distracted. So I found a mod that reinstates that lets you play with controller on PC. It's worth mentioning that Yeah, the original versions of the Mass Effect trilogy on PC did not have controller support. Um, the Legendary Edition does, but the original did not. I think in a more recent interview, well, I know what they said. It's just a matter of when they said it that I don't know. They talked about how a lot of the issue was they were already kind of under. Well, we know they were under a time crunch with Mass Effect 3 specifically. That's part of the reason the ending's what it is. But it also meant that the GUI guys just didn't have time to reprogram all of the different button layouts for, like, it's easy to do them natively on their consoles, and as far as the actual images themselves, I'm sure it wouldn't be too much different, but there's I thought there's no way you can't just lift it and slap it down, and I was very, very wrong in that. For starters, moving it was a HUD thing, because unlike on a console that natively handles resolution changes, PC doesn't really. So the buttons would have to be, you wouldn't just be able to take one set of the UI interface. You'd have to get several. I'm not explaining this well. You'd have to make different sizes for different resolutions. And on top of that, not only would you have to accommodate that, but you'd have to set up some sort of basic auto detect for different formats, like the example Microsoft and Sony layouts. And even if you just added the ability to choose instead of auto detecting, like Monster Hunter does that. It does auto detect, but you can also set it specifically to Sony or Microsoft button icons. That's that's two sets of icons you have to make several versions of, and that's like, nah, I get it. They didn't really even have time to finish the game. I can't expect them to also have extra time for all that. It is odd that it was never added in any patches, for all the DLC and all of the extra content they put into multiplayer. It's odd that a controller support wasn't added, but I also don't know if it would have been something as simple as patching that in. Bug fixing through patches maybe, but I don't know. Like, I imagine they would have had to leave that open in the code somewhere, and I don't know if they could just, if they could just open that gap up later. I'm rambling. Anyway, point is, I was able to play Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. I only played by myself a bit, but with my Switch controller, and it just felt fantastic. It really, really did. And given the right circumstances, I could probably get very addicted to that again. Anyhow, I'm going to sleep. So I will talk to you all tomorrow. Catch you later. Or however, catch you tomorrow. Good night.